Okay, second, so welcome everyone. It is 6:02. We call the meeting to order. Can we have an opening, please? Council attendance. So we have 10. Do we have any virtual? So, who are you missing? Oh, that's right. And for the record, Chief Cindy sent her regrets. So medical. Okay. Now we have a moment of silence. This is where we take a break and we give respect for all of the families going through the loss of their loved ones, and we say goodbye to those that we lost. So we're going to start at 30 seconds now. No. Okay, council agenda acceptance. We have rules of order, action items. Onerahtohkó, May 29th, 2025. Update, Akwesasne election law 16.2 amendment. Presentation, Entewatatha nation building. Presentation, Gladue reports. Business from the floor. Resolution, general meeting next day. Onerahtohkó, May 29th, 2025. Announcements, Ohiarihkó, July district and general meetings. Adjournment. Closing address. Motion to adjourn. Do we have a mover? Chief Joanne, and a second. Chief Lisa. Discussion? Question and call, all in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, for the record, carried. So the general meeting rules of order. Prologue. General meetings are to occur the last Thursday of each month. They will occur in each district on a rotating basis in Gladue, Kana, and Akwesasne. The exception to this is with the general meeting cancellation protocol, MCR 2015/2016, number 260. In the unfortunate circumstance where a community member passes in one of the three districts, the meeting will occur at a regularly scheduled in the other two districts where the member did not reside. A moment of silence will also be taken in their memory. The general meetings are an opportunity for community members to hear information from council and assist council about issues that affect the community. The following general meeting rules were originally developed at a community general meeting in July 2006. The principles for general meeting rules is based on respect for each other, and all attendees are expected to behave respectfully and professionally at all times. General meeting rules. 1. Meetings will start at 6 p.m. and proceed to a maximum of 8 p.m., at which point the committee will be asked if they choose to continue past 8 p.m. So please take that into consideration if you are talking. The meeting will stop at 8. Personal issues will not be dealt with in a public forum/general meetings. Personal items can be dealt with on an individual basis with council members or by appointment through the Mohawk government office. 3. If you have questions or comments during the meeting, raise your hand and wait to be acknowledged by the chairperson. The chairperson will keep note of the order that the committee members continue to be acknowledged. 4. Please keep the questions and comments relevant to the point of order within the agenda and be considerate of the time used. 5. A list will be made of issues you wish to address to council, and if the answers cannot be provided at the current meeting, the issue will be taken back to council table for further discussion and follow-up. And that completes our rules of order. Okay. Action items. So we have number 1, update on review of the independence of auditors from the finance committee. It was ongoing. The update will be provided by finance committee. Did everyone receive a copy of this? The action items? Is that in the package? No? Okay, so do I read everything in purple? So I read everything in its entirety? Because it's mentioning staff names. I thought we can't discuss that. Okay, so there's a contract. So they're dealing with some hiring issues. An auditor, an RFP will be put out in August for an auditor. So that's what I can say for that, number 1. Number 2, a request to bring the leadership meeting with SRK when the Akwesasne and Mohawk Casino issues forms from winning. They're issuing 104-2S forms and should be issuing W2G forms, all council. So ongoing next leadership meeting is August. Yeah, this was added to the agenda item, so this will be discussed. Number 3, provide the results of the March 16, 2021 survey regarding CBSA domestic lane, Chief B. Adams, completed, attached. So does everyone have attached of the copy? You don't get that? So what happens? It's in a package? Okay. 4, can there be monies to access for business in the community that are for-profit economic development? We have ongoing. Number 5, can there be maintenance at the Snide Homemakers building, DIAG portfolio? Answer, there is maintenance for grass cutting, etc., but do not do housekeeping. That's what we have for that. Okay. Okay, so moving on to number 5, our update from the Akwesasne Election Law 16.2 amendment. Who is going to be presenting to that? So we welcome our Justice Department. We do apologize, we don't have the projector running tonight, but we're going to do the best that we can.
This is a handout if you want to follow along. Sorry, we don't have projector. So I'm just providing an update. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Cactus Cook Sunday. I live in Snide. I was formerly a researcher since 2005, and I managed the Akwesasne Rights and Research Office until 2023, when I became the Director of Justice for Mohawk Council of Justice. So I'm providing an update on the work being done to an amendment to the Akwesasne election. I'm going to let you know some of the acronyms that I'm going to be going through. If I'm talking too fast, please somebody just tell me. Okay, so the AEL, the Akwesasne election law, the Akwesasne legislative enactment procedural regulations, I call ALEPR because that's a mouthful. It's not quite caught on with everyone in the working task group, but if I say ALEPR, that's what I'm referring to, the regulation. The working task group is comprised of 3 community members who are on the Oversight Committee on Legislative Development. That's called the OSC. So the working task group is comprised of Dr. Doris Cook, Gary Cole, and Teresa Benedict, and also Justice Portfolio. And the working task group on specifically the AEL is those 3 OSC members I just mentioned, the Executive Director, the Chief Electoral Officer, who is Cheryl Jacobs. Taylor Armstrong represents Government Service Manager, and myself as the Director of Justice. Sorry. So the purpose of the ALEPR, the regulation, is to ensure an open, transparent, and accountable law development and ratification procedures for the Mohawks of Akwesasne, for our laws. It establishes a standardized legislative enactment procedure for the development, ratification, enactment, amendment, and repeal of Akwesasne laws. So I just went over the working task group specific to the election law, the oversight committee members, 3 district representatives who are, I just went over that, right? The executive director, the chief electoral officer, the government support manager, as well as legislative services staff, who are Allison Thompson and Emily King. The working task group established to only work on section 16.2 of the AEL as requested by community petition. That petition was submitted at a general meeting in February of this year by community members. The working task group had established that the AEL at section 4.8 of the ALEPR, and I believe the ALEPR is available as a handout. If it's not, it's on the website, and you can also pick up a hard copy if you want at our Justice Administration building here in the village at the old Digit store. Oh, section 4.8 of the ALEPR, where community comments will be considered. The comment period ran from May 8th to May 23rd, 2025. It ended at 4:30 that day, and it ensured that the 10-day minimum required in the regulation had been met. So the working task group discussed the results of the community call-out, the comments. In total, 47 submissions were received by email, phone, and some people dropped off their written comments at the Justice Administration Office. The working task group voted then to proceed to legal review. The AEL was sent to legal counsel Bonnie Cole to conduct a legal review as stated in section 4.10 of the ALEPR. An MCR then went before council to recuse themselves from any steps of the ALEPR that they were not required to do to avoid delays or conflicts of interest, or the appearance of conflict of interest. An example of this would be the multiple opportunities outlined in the ALEPR to have a line-by-line meeting conducted with the working task group. On June 16th of this year, MCR 2025-26, number 90 was passed. The Legislative Services Manager sent a request for the working task group to be added to the June general meeting, here we are, to move into phase 2 of the 11th, the regulation. So I will read to you the section that the working task group is currently working on. The original section 16.2A of the Akwesasne election law reads, a member of the Mohawk Council is removed from council if A petition requesting the removal of a district chief is signed by an equal number of votes plus 1 from the official total number of votes he/she received on election day by election day and delivered to the council at a duly convened general meeting. Or, and it goes on. The proposed amendment that the working task group is currently working on, 16.2A. A member of the Mohawk Council is removed from council if A petition requesting the removal of district chief is signed by an equal number of his, her, their eligible district voters, plus 1 from the official total number of votes he/she received on election or by election day and delivered to the council at a duly convened general meeting, or, and then it goes on. So the working task group is currently in phase 2 in pursuant to the 11th. Phase 1 would be the development of proposed law, in this case, the amendment, section 16.2A. And the proposal is to move on to phase 2, which would be an acceptance of the proposed Akwesasne law in principle, in this case, the amendment, the proposed amendment. We just outlined phase 3 would be community consultation, where we would set up a series of meetings to go through the law, the whole law itself. If they haven't decided how the whole format is going to be, they're going to go through the phases of the LEPR and the law itself and the proposed amendment. Phase 4 is the enactment of the law. And then phase 5 would be procedures after the enactment phase of an Akwesasne law. So, phase 1, the resolution would be passed by council to accept in principle the proposed amendment that I read to you earlier. And the comment and input period would begin. The law is then developed. The amendment is then developed, the legal review, and then submitted to council for acceptance in principle, which is what we're proposing today. Once we move on to phase 2, if council agrees in principle to the amendment as it was proposed, council would then accept or reject the law in principle. If accepted, it would then move on to the community consultation as I went over earlier. So community notice of meetings will go out. Meetings are held in each district, at least one, but I'm hearing 2 community sessions in each district will be announced and held, wherein the draft amendment will be provided. The law is in its entirety currently in the law registry, available on the MCA website. You can also pick up a hard copy at the offices if you want. Members' comments will be accepted until a deadline that is to be determined is announced. They'll be accepted until the announced deadline. And there's post-consultation drafting sessions to incorporate the comments, and that will be a working task group duty. Phase 4 would be the enactment. MCA accepts or rejects the draft law. They may also send it back to the OSC for further revisions if necessary. And the Mohawk Council would decide on the manner in which it's voted on. If it's going to be a full-out referendum or a vote at a special general meeting. So phase 5, these would be the procedures after the enactment phase. Council would confirm the vote results, whether it be the full referendum or the special general meeting vote. Notice of results will be posted within 7 days to the community. The ratified law is then sent to the Akwesasne Law Registry, or if it's rejected, that's the end of the law process. And if it is rejected, voted down by the community, it can't see any further developments for at least 120 days. That's the end of the presentation, the PowerPoint that I had. There is a flow chart that's available in the back, and that shows you, it's a breakdown of the steps of the electorate, the full electorate. And the team has gathered some frequently asked questions. Emily will be taking notes if there's any further questions that aren't covered in this, because these are the questions we've already received. So why are we here tonight? We're holding this as part of the process in front of the community members to ensure transparency and fairness as we complete phase 2. Acceptance in principle. Once council decides to accept or reject the law in principle, the working task group must update the community by reading a summary of the work at a general meeting as required in section 5.6 of the electorate. By completing phase 2 tonight, we can move forward to phase 3 and keep the process moving efficiently. Excuse me. Why was there a delay in starting the amendment process? The Oversight Committee on Legislative Development did not have a representative from the District of Snide. So it could not meet quorum, so they had to post it. And we did find representatives from Snide. Once that started, then the work began. And there is the legislative terms of reference, so that was prescribed too. We had to follow that process. Why is it taking so long to change just one word in one section? Even small changes must follow the full lawmaking process. Section 4.1 of the electorate require that all changes, big or small, go through phases 1 through 5. This ensures transparency, fairness, community involvement, even if the change is just one word. Why is there a comment period in community consultation sessions? Well, the electorate, again, strives to engage the Mohawks of Akwesasne in the lawmaking procedures. It ensures the process is open, transparent, accountable. Community members have 2 key opportunities to share their thoughts before drafting begins, which was the comment period on the existing law, and to express initial ideas or concerns, and then during phase 3, to give feedback on the proposed law, or amendment in this case. These steps help to make sure the law reflects the voices of the community. And one very frequently asked question is, when will the entire AEL be amended? Right now, there are no plans to amend the entire law. The OSC is currently focused on 4 specific laws: Untitled, which is the child rights law, residency law amendments, the fire safety law, and section 16.2 of the AEL. The community helps set priorities on voting which laws matter most. So the OSC continues the top priorities based on that input. And that's my presentation, and I went over the frequently asked questions. If you have any. Yes.
Any questions?
Okay, let's say if I were to do a petition, not out of spite or not out of because I don't like somebody, you know. Okay, what would the petition be based on, and how many votes would I need?
Currently, what is the threshold in the electorate?
The electorate is 75
From each district, plus 1, right?
plus 1 to amend the law.
And right now, there does not have to be a reason.
So we don't have to state our reason? I wouldn't have to state my reason if I were to do a petition?
If you wanted to change, if you've gathered enough votes or signatures to amend something in one of the existing laws, you would just need those signatures, and they will be validated by the CEO, Cheryl Jacobs,
Or
currently.
you don't have to see a reason why?
No,
Okay. Thank you.
yep. No. Yeah, yeah,
Y'all for being here tonight to give us this update.
yeah.
It's been quite a while. We've been here, we presented it February 27th, so, I have a question, a couple questions. Actually, there's a resolution that was passed on June 16th that recuses the council from any whatever. Can the community members have a copy of that resolution?
ATEP. You have you followed the ATEP process?
And can you? Okay, so the second question I have is, so you went through phase 3, which is the community consultation, you got comments, questions, whatever.
We went through phase 2, we were collecting comments on the existing law. So we wanted to see we needed to see what people thought of the existing law.
Right. So you're gonna proceed to phase 3.
With
in
council's
phase-
approval,
so you're gonna go to the community and tell you what they want, right?
yes.
Phase 4 says the council accepts or rejects the draft law and sends it back to the oversight committee for further revisions.
They could, yes.
And if they do that, then what's the purpose of taking it to the people? If the people, you go to the people twice, you're gonna go per district. They tell you what they want, we said what we wanted on February 27th, then it goes back to council and then it gets rejected or changed or sent back to the OSC. So why even go back to the community if council's gonna have the opportunity to just reject it?
It's in the regulation, and like I said, we have to follow the regulation.
And then at that meeting in phase 4, council also determines what the voting method will be, whether it's through a referendum or a special general meeting, where the community present will be the one who vote on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. What's the timeline you see? I know you went through the whole process, but in your estimation, what do you see the timeline? At what point are we talking? August, September, October, Christmas?
Do you mean for the completion of the, okay. That's an Allison Thompson question. She's the legislative services manager, but she's been out on bereavement. But I could put that to the other working task for the OSC members. I know there was a timeline going around, I don't.
Yeah, it would be good for the community members to get,
Yeah.
just to get a better idea of what we can anticipate the final, finality of the petition will be.
My name's Emily. I'm just the researcher, so I provide admin assistance to the working task group. The most recent timeline we have is just set out for community consultation right now. And that's gonna be happening in the month of July. We don't have those dates finalized yet, or finalizing locations for those times, but we do have the timeline for community consultation, and that's kind of where we are right now. I can't give a realistic timeline for when the referendum time.
If I had to guess, and this is purely a guess, we talked about it informally in the office, and I would say December, January, because like I said, the working task group has to complete all of those steps. Since it's just one little section of the whole law, we're hoping we can get it finalized quicker instead of having to go through drafts and drafts of the entire, like we did in 2023 when we did the whole law. So they're working hard and they're meeting often, and we did this in response to the petition. So it took a lot longer than the 6 weeks that the petition asked for, but That's why I wanted to, present and explain that this is taking longer than the 6 weeks, but we're going by the regulation.
So this is a priority.
Yes, it is.
So if there were any petitions that came in, let's say after, like, whatever, like tonight, let's say if there was one, that would still have to follow the law as it exists today.
Absolutely.
So we're looking at a final date around December. That's very,
That's the timeline we've thrown around in the office, but like the entire OSC or the working task group has to agree on setting the schedule, getting all of those logistics done to set the community schedule. And then the legal review didn't take long, it took like a week because it was only that one section, so that's good. That's speedy.
so I just have one last question. Whenever you make a change, whatever the change will be to the law, you don't have to take it back to council, and they don't have to, by virtue of resolution that was passed on June 16th, is that what that means?
They recused themselves from the working task group, the justice portfolio. But they still, council still has the opportunity in the LEPR, if you read it, they have the opportunity to review it, but they don't have to. If they choose not to, and take an arm's length and step back and allow the working task group to continue their work, that can occur.
But at the end of the day, it always goes back to council.
Yeah. There's Paul.
Okay, we have a request from the people on Zoom. They can't hear. Ask them to use mics and speak up. So you guys can talk nice and clear inside the mics. Thank you.
So with respect to regulations, is that something, that's not something that comes to the community for input, right?
The regulations were first accepted by council in 2021, and they were most recently amended in 2023.
So that there's no community consultation in the development of a regulation.
That was before my time for this particular one. For a regulation, there would be community consultation and input, but I've just never started one from scratch. But I don't know if there was any community consultation in the development of this one.
Is there an opportunity for the regulation to go back to the community for review and potential change?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
So how does one go about doing that?
I would say a petition, or you could request it from council. That's a good question. We could follow up on that.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah, to amend the leper, to amend the leper, it takes a resolution from council.
Okay, good, thank you.
Yeah, it's right there in the, under amendments.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions for me?
I don't have anything on here, but will you be here for the duration of the meeting in case other questions come from Zoom?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
No.
Okay, Yama for that. Wait. Can I have my regulations back?
Oh, you had.
So with that, we did get notification that we do have a projector. So we're gonna take a 10-minute break. The time is 6:35. We'll come back at 6:45. We'll reconvene then, and hopefully we'll have a projector and all be set up. All right, so take 10, people.
Hello everyone, my name is Jason Jacobs. I'm here to speak on behalf of the Akwesasne Community Justice Program tonight. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about Gladue reports and what we do as Gladue report writers for our program. So a little bit about us. The Akwesasne Community Justice Program is administered through the Akwesasne Justice Department, which is located here in the village. The Akwesasne Justice Program houses the Gladue unit and has been temporarily relocated to 55 Water Street in Cornwall. So first and foremost, what is Gladue? So Gladue refers to a right that Indigenous people have under section 718.2E of the Criminal Code. Gladue is a sentencing principle which recognizes that Indigenous people face racism and systemic discrimination in and out of criminal law systems, and attempts to deal with the crisis of overrepresentation and inequities that Indigenous people face in custody, and we do this through changing how judges sentence. Gladue instructs judges when sentencing or setting bail to consider all available sanctions other than imprisonment that are reasonable in the circumstances, with particular attention to the circumstances of Aboriginal offenders. So in the Canadian criminal justice system, judges must take into consideration the individual circumstances of the person before them in the court to determine a fit and fair sentence. If you identify as Indigenous and are charged with a crime, the judge must then apply Gladue principles when in court. Gladue principles are a way for the judges to consider the unique circumstances and experiences of Indigenous people. These unique circumstances include the challenges of colonization faced and resisted as Indigenous people, and how the barriers continue to affect us today. These challenges include racism, loss of language, removal from land, Indian residential schools, and the involvement of the foster care system. These challenges altogether are called Gladue factors. So a little bit of history of Gladue. It's pretty in-depth, so I'm just gonna get to the gist of it. In 1999, in a case called R versus Gladue, the Supreme Court of Canada said that colonialism creates challenges for many Indigenous people, and they are more likely to be sent to jail because of those barriers. The criminal justice system has repeatedly failed Indigenous people. Gladue principles try to address these failures and make sure judges don't repeat the same mistakes that add to our discrimination. Judges must consider Gladue factors when they make decisions about us, and must consider options other than jail to help us address the challenges that we face. For example, one might participate in a restorative justice program to help work with those that were affected by the crime and aim to repair the harm that was done, in opposed to going to jail. Gladue principles also require judges to make decisions that are appropriate to the offender's particular Indigenous heritage or connection. This means judges must consider the community's perspective on the situation, their needs, and their suggested alternatives to jail. They have to consider the laws, practices, customs, and legal traditions of the Mohawk Nation or the nation where the alleged offenses took place. They need to consider the ways of decision-making that are sensitive and appropriate to our culture. The judge might still decide to send our Indigenous offenders to jail, but if an Indigenous offender is given a custodial sentence, the judge must respect Gladue principles when deciding how long they go away and the terms of the probation which follow. Canadian courts have found Gladue principles can apply at bail, sentencing, appeals, parole boards, hearings to determine parole and ineligibility in sentencing, extradition, mental health review boards, professional disciplinary decisions, and long-term or dangerous offender hearings. Gladue principles can also apply in other situations, such as negotiations and sending someone to alternative measures programming. In this program, the person accepts responsibility for their actions and takes steps to repair the damage without having to go to court. So before any decision is made, the judge needs to think about a few things. First and foremost, they need to think about the background or the story of the offender, as well as that of their family, their community, and their culture. They need to think about what Gladue factors might have played a part in the offender getting in trouble with the law, like other Gladue factors listed such as colonization, racism, foster care, abuse, poverty, residential school, and Indian day school attendance. The offender's current needs and strengths and the best options to address these challenges which they face. They need to consider where the offender can get help for these challenges that brought them before the court. And they also need to consider the perspectives from their family, their community, and their nation about healing and ways to repair and address the harm which has been done. All of this is done in the form of a Gladue report. So when it comes to doing a Gladue report, the process is pretty straightforward. So we'll receive a Gladue report request from the court system, and a writer will be assigned to the file. The writer then works to obtain documents pertinent to the case, such as a synopsis of the offense, like what happened, the offender's criminal history, so we can get an idea of where they've been throughout their life, and the names of the defense counsel, crown counsel, judges, etc. for communication purposes. The writer will then meet with the offender to outline the process of the Gladue report, what the role of the writer will be, how long the process might take, and what the client should expect during the process. The rider will also will begin the Gladue interviewing process with the offender. So this usually entails meeting with them multiple times over the span of usually up to 8 weeks to get all the information they need from them, and then correspond with them on the ending of the report as well. We also meet with collateral stakeholders, including but not limited to family members, friends, religious advisors, past teachers, really just anyone who the offender feels knows them best. The writer will then prepare a comprehensive, accurate, and objective report that includes the Gladue factors, as well as a detailed restorative justice plan to address the harm that was done. The writers have to ensure that the court reports are reviewed and revised prior to court submission, and then once we send them in, it's usually about 2 weeks till the sentencing date comes up, if that's what it's used for. Once the report is written, we send them over to Gladue Aftercare. So Aftercare will assist the offenders with the implementation of the Gladue recommendations by providing direct services and necessary referrals to the identified programs and services to support the client in addressing underlying issues. The Gladue Aftercare will also work in partnership with Gladue writers to provide continuity of care and trauma-informed services, avoiding re-traumatization while supporting the restorative justice through accountability. Lastly, they'll work in partnership with probation services after sentencing to ensure the offender follows through with recommendations from the Gladue report and provide updates on shared client progress. So we just keep up to date with them throughout the whole process. So as of right now, our program has 2 Gladue writers. First and foremost, me. I've been writing for Akwesasne Community Justice Program since the spring of 2021. We also have Lee Swamp, and our Gladue Aftercare as of right now is Ricky Skitters. That's it.
Oh, any questions?
Could Gladue be helpful with court cases like assault?
Yeah, Gladue applies to all Indigenous offenders. So anyone going through the criminal justice system, as I mentioned, it's being applied at different levels all the time. So it can span pretty much any kind of charge.
I want to know something about border. Are you working with the tribal courts too? Because they, some people just jump borders from one to the other side. Are you working together?
Not so much as right now, to be honest. Gladue is a Canadian principle, so it applies to Canada strictly at this time. I know there has been talks of developing something stateside, but it hasn't gotten that far yet, being that it is a Canadian principle at this time.
Is that automatic with every Indigenous person that goes to court, or does it have to be requested?
It has to be
Does the person,
requested.
when he shows up, does he need to request that? And if they do not know about it, are they then informed that it's available to them?
They should be. So we always are conducting outreach within the courts through our local legal representations as well as our court workers to make sure people know what their rights are. It is an Indigenous right, but if you don't know that, it can.
Well, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, you can
The only
definitely.
ones that know about it are the ones that are here in something to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the rest of the community, when they're going through the process of dealing with the legal system, they might not know that that's available to them.
Yeah, we deal with people who slip through the cracks all the time.
Is there any way that it can be, when they do the rights, so you have a right to a lawyer, you have a right to remain silent, and then when they find out that they're Indigenous, should it be like addressed that you also have this right for this?
I mean, that would be a great idea, but that's kind of like out of our hands. That's coming through the criminal justice system. They're well aware that this is in place. However, it's up to them how they treat that process. It's our right to know our own rights, first and foremost. However, your legal counsel should also be advising you to do that. That's why we try to do this community outreach as well, because most people don't know about it, which is true. So we do find a lot of people slip through the cracks, but more and more our work is picking up, so we're doing something right.
This is an online question. How do you determine the success of the Gladue process?
That's also a difficult question. In the work that we do, there is a lot of recidivism. So I guess the success is determined by whether or not we see them again coming through our program. I don't think we've done anything really in terms of numbers to follow people through their lifetime. In the 5 years I've been doing it, some people come back through the program and some people don't. I don't know if we've really followed that through statistically though.
I just wanted to add some clarity to the question that was asked in the back about if all Indigenous people know about this. I was just wanting to add some clarity to the question that was asked in the back, is if other Indigenous people know about this and what the awareness is. I was a previous Gladue worker with Akwesasne Community Justice Program in 2020. There's different avenues that we're trying to get this information out there. So whenever there are incarcerated individuals that are Aboriginal in the court system in Cornwall, the judges as well as the court workers for Indigenous people, they know your rights, so they're going to tell you about that. But the difference is if an individual pleads out prior to getting a Gladue, you can't do that. It takes it right off the table. So there's different kinds of mechanisms that Akwesasne Community Justice has in place, such as NILO workers within the correctional facilities throughout Eastern Ontario. So with that, a NILO worker is a Native Indigenous liaison for our Native Inmate Liaison Officer. Thank you. She was also in the Justice Program. So we're fully aware of this. So there's a lot of, it's kind of a word of mouth, but now that it's getting out there and gaining some footage and traction, that this is a known source of a support that could be identified. And like she said, there are external factors on what brought you to the court that day. So there's all kinds of systemic, and with creating that Gladue report, you're painting a picture on what brought them through there, and it can go back generations.
And yeah, it usually does. Yeah, it's extremely difficult work. Like I said, it's not necessarily just about the person standing in front of you; it's about the generations before them as well. So we cover, like I said, residential school, and obviously it's a lot of trauma that brings people in front of the court. So we have the heavy job of walking them through that and supporting them afterward.
To have another rebuttal response is, you mentioned that it was involved or with Cornwall. I was wondering, like, we have a lot of people still going to Valley, but a lot of us are in Quebec, or a lot of them are in Quebec, and they end up in Valley. And I was wondering if they also had somebody there in Valleyfield to give them that information also, as you do over here in Cornwall.
Yep.
Like, I mean, you say Cornwall, but I mean, we're not just dealing with Cornwall, we're also dealing with Valleyfield. So do we also have somebody in Valleyfield?
Yeah, we do. Our court worker here tonight is Patty Boba. She covers both Cornwall and Valleyfield. Our program is both Ontario and Quebec based. Personally, I am an Ontario writer, but we also have Quebec writers as well.
Hi, I'm Patty Mohawk. I'm the Indigenous court worker for the Akwesasne Community Justice Program. And yes, we do have, like Gladue is applied across all of Canada. So I'm in the court, and that is one of the trickiest things that I have to do is I can't cover everyone, but I try to ensure by listening in court, seeing where people's files are going, to let them know about their Gladue rights. It could, like JC had mentioned in our presentation, that it's applied at every stage, including bail. So if there's someone who's currently incarcerated and can't make bail for whatever reason, and typically it would be a community risk, then I would work with that lawyer to try and come up with a bail plan, identifying any of those Gladue factors and setting them up with those programs to address those underlying issues. I would have to say that in Quebec, there's judicial notice at every level, so it's up to the judge, the Crown, and the lawyer, who all are part of the criminal justice system, all know the laws, that it's their duty. If we're not there, it's their duty to apply Gladue and have to take notice of that. So if you have a defense counsel who may look at a plea deal that may not be something that they don't think the Gladue report would be beneficial for them. They'll try and get the client to plead out of that, like, take the plea deal, but not the report, because it may take too long. They still have that right, and the judge and the Crown are supposed to take notice of that. And they're supposed to still ask that individual if they, want a Gladue report. So we have taken notice of a lot of those files, and we sit on, the Native Roundtable in Quebec, as well as the Bench and Bar Committee in Cornwall, to let them know that we see a lot of files that are slipping through the cracks, unfortunately, but we try to cover everything.
Yeah. Yeah, Cactus, can you tell your, again, you and your staff, good job, and we do appreciate all the work that's being done. Very impressive, guys. Yes, good job, good stuff. Okay, so now we got through our presentations. We have business from the floor. Now, let's start with anything from Zoom, because we kind of tend to overlook them. We're good? This is it here? Okay, now the time is 7:21, and it looks like we have a big question here. Okay, so what's gonna happen is at 7:55, I'm gonna set an alarm. At 7:55, we're gonna stop talking. So if you are talking and it's 7:55, please expect to be stopped at 7:55 p.m. At that time, we will take a survey from the community in this room, only in this room, and you will decide if we're gonna continue or not. If you do not want to continue, we will stop the meeting there, and we will continue our agenda and end and close the meeting. If the community wants to, you in this room decide to continue, then we'll extend another half hour and we'll see how we go. So again, that's how it's going to work. Now, looking at our questions from online, would like all 12 chiefs in GC to give update on things they're working on for the betterment of Akwesasne. Please explain how this initiative benefits Akwesasne and when will it be implemented? We can start at the end. And please, let's try and get right to, some stuff. Speak into the microphone? Speak into the microphone. Okay. Yes, again, because that came from Zoom too, because not everyone can hear. So, and if you do have a soft voice, please take that into consideration and speak louder. Or speak closer, put your mouth closer to the microphone. Yeah. Just so that we all can hear that.
Testing. Good. Not good. These ones. Hello. Better? Okay.
Can we all do a sound check before we start? Everyone grab a mic. Let's do a sound check. Are we all good? We're good? We're ready? Okay, awesome, good stuff, let's go. Take it away, Chief Tisha.
My name is Chief Tisha Rourke, and I am part of the team of Just Nina District. So I find this pretty interesting because this was asked at our district meeting on Monday, so I'm really happy that this came back up. So right now, currently helping with, it's called the Youth Wellness Hub. We got funding from Ontario, and it's to help youth ages 12 to 25 by offering free walking support for mental health, addictions, physical health, cultural programs, and more. So the hubs bring together different services in one youth friendly space, making it easier for young people to get help in one space. So I'm working with Jonathan, who is part of the Youth and Wellness Hub, and to bring this support to local communities. So we had council met with the team in a couple months ago, and because I sit on the Department of Social Services and Department of Health, and I'm considered the youth of the council, I took on this initiative, especially because I'm a big advocate of mental health. I'm like overall wellness. I talked about if you have to be mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically grounded so that you're able to help your community the best way you can. And I'm here for everybody, and as someone who came from youth council, this is something that I wanted to bring forward, like when I came onto council, because I want to help be the voice for the youth and be an advocate in any way. So, and just getting the youth council to connect Ontario, Quebec. So that's something that I'm really passionate about, is just getting the youth council connected and networking with other youth councils in the other provinces. And I wanted to bring up that, so for that, it's just in the early stages. There's nothing in place of where it's gonna be, but that's something I can bring forward again when more details come through. And the short-term one that I wanted to bring forth was that at our district meeting, probably earlier this year, one of the community members brought up the First Nation Child and Family Services in Jordan's Principal Settlement. So the social service and health team and I have been meeting, and we are in a couple months bringing a presentation in regards to that in all 3 districts. And it's in regards to a removed child class member who's eligible for compensation. So there's gonna be a presenter. There'll be a announcement in the probably next week, maybe a couple weeks. And then they'll explain what it is. And then there will also be a claim supporter here to help support with the applications. So those are the 2 projects that I'm working on. And now.
Second.
Question?
There are reports I noticed in this package, and I would assume it's everything that they're talking about is here. Maybe the people that are online could come and pick one of these up in the community. I think we'll be here till midnight if we listen to everything.
Second.
Yeah, they're available online, so just so that they can access them? Yeah.
Second, Chief Teresa Oaks, I will keep mine very short for time. One thing that I'm very proud to be a part of is the special needs program that we're trying to kickstart. And next week, myself along with other DCSS portfolios, we're going to see a facility, and we are really determined to make that a reality and to get more services here, advocacy, and that's what I'm passionate about. And we'll have more coming up, but it's in the process, and it's going to happen. Thank you.
I'm Chief Sarah Daigle from Akwesasne District. Nice to see everybody here. I'll be brief as well. One of the things that I'm working on is the Quebec Protocol, and this is negotiating with Quebec and identifying all of our issues and our shortcomings that we're experiencing with Quebec, such as the licensing issue, where we have to have our health professionals have to have the language of French. So we're working on that agreement. I'm working on, as well as the J-Treaty Border Alliance, and we're on the security, I'm on the security and technical table regarding the green cards and regarding our border issues and how we can, if an incident happens, how we can all work together, as in like missing and murdered or any safety concerns that we have in Akwesasne regarding the border. So this is a big partnership with First Nations across Canada. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Fallon David, Gladue District Chief. So there are a couple things, but I'll keep it short. I too sit on the Special Needs Committee, and those who know me know that I'm a huge advocate for special needs. So if I accomplish, something big on this term, it's going to be pushing this special needs program forward and hoping at some point that we have an assisted living facility in the Canadian portion of Akwesasne. I have been in talks with AMPS and also CBSA about pushing the Blue Envelope Initiative, which is an initiative for those with autism and also any special need where if they are pulled over by law enforcement, they can pass them their blue envelope, and it gives the officer the knowledge that they have a special need and to approach them in a different way, because if you know anything about autism, sometimes they don't like to make eye contact, or they could become defensive. So it's just to prevent things from getting out unnecessary, force or things like that. So there's that, and then I've also been just recently working with OSPCA, had them come in to do a presentation for council. Myself and 3 other district chiefs attended the presentation. It was a great presentation. We have, as we all know, we have a huge animal issue here, especially surrounding dogs, and we do not have the facility to take in animals right now. So with developing a partnership with them at this time, it will hope is to be able to have some rules that they could have for us, so that we can bring animals there while we find their owners. Also, I'm, as I said, a big advocate for special needs, so I'm always out there, special needs families, letting them know about our special needs fund, helping them access that funding and anything that they may need that can, whether it be a ramp, whether it be upgrades to their bathroom, handicap accessible, whether it be elders who are in need of a generac because the power goes out and they need assistance helping that out. I'm always out there advocating for anyone. My biggest thing is I'll always advocate for those who can't advocate for themselves. So I said I was going to be short. So
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gladue District Chief Lindsay Pierce. The previous chiefs explained a lot of the different programming that I'm also collaborating on. Basically, my main priority right now is to fill the gaps that are currently within our programs and services. So we need to meet the needs and meet the people who keep falling through these cracks. So there's different initiatives that I'm working on. One of them would be the special needs. We will be creating a program under ECSS. It's a much needed program. We're going to be going up to 6 nations and visiting their community living buildings so we can figure out what process they went through and how they developed it, so we can bring that back here. So it's all about collaborating and speaking with our brothers and sisters from the different nations. Other things that I'm also looking at is investing in our futures. When I say that, we need to invest in our culture and our language. So there's a lot of different programming going on in the community, and I fully support these programs that are developing because it's bringing back our language. And if we don't have our language and culture, we don't have anything. So this is something we need to invest in for generations to come. Also, I have a lot of different plans that I want to be able to implement and roll out and support everyone. And those would be our elder care facilities. There's major upgrades needed for Gladue as well as Ohiarihkó. So we need to take care of them because they took care of us. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Chief Tracy Jacobs, Gladue District.
Okay, so currently I am working on DIHE portfolio, and we're working on giving the remaining members of Akwesasne potable water, because there are some members in the community that don't have access to the water line like everyone else does. And we want to ensure that everyone gets it, regardless of the distance of where their home is located. We're also working on environment issues, and we came across a lot of issues with neighboring communities that want to, and we just want to ensure that they're not, their issues aren't potentially affecting us directly. These are environment issues. I've also been knocking on many doors in the community lately with council receiving the backup batteries that we got from Hydro-Quebec. So I've had a chance to go and visit many community members, sat down and found that there are more issues out there other than the need for help during power outages. So I did add those names on the list for backup batteries. And then I did find that like there are a lot of special needs, there are a lot of elders that need help, and so I did refer their names to the programs to ensure that they're gonna get help, and that was with their permission, and they were really happy. I also sit on the property acquisition team, and we currently are looking at purchasing land because there is a need for housing in our community. So if we can buy some land, then we can start looking at building more homes for everyone who needs it. I sit on the government secretariat, and we're currently, as Sarah said, working on the Quebec political protocol. And I'm working on there to ensure that our rights are not impacted, as well as the portfolios that I sit on. And I want to ensure that their issues and concerns are put into the agreement. I also participate in the border partner meetings, and I'm looking out for anything that may affect the community members with the remission order, because there are some areas that may fall through the cracks. So I just want to make sure that everyone has a smooth transition through the borders. Also looking at the health department. I sit on the portfolio for Department of Health as well. And there are issues that affect our community that are not in policy. So I want to take a look to see what we can do to make sure that these are addressed as well. Roads needs. Everyone knows we need new roads, so I missed the last portfolio meeting, which was Tuesday of this week, because I had to sit in interviews, because I'm also on the executive committee, so I had to miss that, so I couldn't bring or get any information on that. And I also work with anyone who comes to me and needs help. I haven't sat on any lobbying tables just yet, because we haven't set anything specific up, with any council members. So, thank you.
Chief Scott Peters. So I've been working with several other chiefs on setting up a nuisance animal shelter for Akwesasne, the northern portion, and to work with the tribe as well in the southern portion. As was mentioned earlier, there is a need for it, and now to Chief Alan David for setting that up with the OSPCA. We've also been working with several other chiefs on setting up a meeting with the community of Gladue, the Rangers Conservation Program, which developed in '92 their own community laws for conservation and protection of their fisheries to start, and they're even doing some land protection now with their own community laws that are accepted within their territory. So we're looking at developing something like that. We've made contact and are just looking to learn more at this point. Same with the Lands Guardians Canada program, where it's more of not an enforcement type of program, but it's where we can hire people to go to bigger projects, especially now with Bill C5, Bill 5 in Canada being pushed through in Ontario and several other bills in Quebec, where we're gonna need our own people on these projects, larger project sites within our territory. So something developing in that way. I've been working with Arrow on reburials with Parks Canada and other nations within Eastern Ontario, West Quebec, to look at how we're doing reburials that are found, or how to rebury ancestors that were found within parks projects. So Arrow has been working with that. We were involved with them. I'm learning more on the nation building process and all those steps with it. Like it's an ongoing process. So as was mentioned earlier, you'll be seeing us out a lot more in the next few years on it. And then the Iroquois Caucus Harvesting Working Group I've been working with on harvesting issues for our local people, not just us, but our sister communities throughout the Iroquois Caucus, and that's been keeping me busy so far. Yeah.
Segozorgwego, Joanne Swamp, G9 District Chief. As you can see on my report, I sit on a lot of committees and portfolios. I'm not going to go, the chiefs already mentioned what we're working on, but I just want to share some of my highlights, what I've been working on, and that would be infrastructure, housing, and with housing, I've been meeting with community members on lot servicing and surveys, land lots, right-of-ways for roads. See what else. I'm on Adjourn, and that deals mostly with the Canadian government reps and dealing with the Indian Act on how to get our own self-government paper. That's kind of interesting, but we're not there yet. See, I'm on the executive also. We're doing interviews, and we're updating the housing charter policy. And the last one is culture and language. I feel strong in that department, trying to get all of MCA employees and chiefs especially to use more of the language within the workplace. And we started at our table. Everybody is doing the opening now. And I just try to advocate for the people. Anybody can come and see me. If you have issues, just give me a call. And I just want to mention, I think Rachel, Miss Trinice Lazar, she's also on the community advisor from Onerahtohkó. That's it.
Segozorgwego, Chief in Thompson, the Onoga District. I worked on various items that was discussed here today, but I'm a little bit more going to report on the political front, on my working tasks. I'm part of the task group that's negotiating the relocation of the Kana Port of Entry in Kana, and trying to relocate it to the yes portion. That would be very beneficial for Akwesasne, and then that way we can start negotiating a new P4 lane, so that it will be easier for Akwesasne or Mohawk people to transition through the border. I'm also working with the IHE portfolio, developing of a grant funding proposal to ISK that will work in partnership to help out with the internal mortgage program and our Akwesasne BMO mortgage program that's in place here in Akwesasne. Then we're also working on with various other chiefs on the Seaway claim that was turned down by way of referendum. So we're putting together a new business case development, and we're researching and putting together a communication plan that will educate the community moving forward, so that way the Seaway claim will have a better chance of being approved by way of referendum. And we're also going to be seeking elders' knowledge on their awareness that they had and the impacts that the Seaway development created for them. I'm also on the D. Dundee Working Circle to establish improved relations and establish a MOU for medical transport while transitioning through the Port of Entry. And the tax remission order that we have at the former Port of Entry is going to be trying to transfer it to the Dundee Entry too, because we settled the Dundee claim. We're going to be slowly start moving in and relocating some of our community members once we start purchasing lands there. I want that Port of Entry to be ready to accommodate the new people going through, and that we have the same rights as we do at, we have the same relationships and negotiated certain things that will help us transition through the port without any hindrance or hiccups. I'm also working with a couple other chiefs that are working on developing a more robust conservation department to show presence on our waters and protect our lands and our resources. There is an information meeting being held in Ganawaga on July 9th, and because they're hosting the meeting for us is because they had a more robust conservation department in the past, that they had either 8 to 10 conservation departments, so we're looking at how they establish that. My fellow Chief Scott is also researching the northern communities on how the ranger program that he put together that he mentioned earlier. So we're gathering all this information so that once we establish it, it's sustainable and we can start protecting our territory more. I'm also on the nation building with Gladue. It's a self-government arrangement. It's not a treaty. It would hopefully I'm not hoping, I know it will provide more authority for Akwesasne politically and administratively on how we move along and conduct our internal matters. And on the local front, I am helping out with the language revitalization that is moving pretty big, and we already approved certain funding to start establishing language revitalization in Ohiarihkó.
Chief Lisa Francis Benedict, Governor District. My main portfolios is AMBI, Department of Infrastructure, Housing and Environment, the Justice Department, and Nation Building. I have to be honest, like I'm a new chief. I think I'm almost consider myself not new, but I've been just learning. And one of my main focuses is on youth culture and language, youth elders culture and language. So, and right now too, there's a call out for elders council. So I don't know if anybody is interested or wants more information, that can be sent to you. I can deliver it to whoever needs to, unless you've seen it out on the Facebook or on the website. So there is a call out right now. And today we talked with Abby about the air conditioning in the school. So I hope to probably work with Abby also in our DIHE portfolio for a shortfall of funding. I was appointed to a language commission in Quebec, and there's a meeting that's coming up in September in some First Nations community, and I think it's way north, so I'm hoping I can do it virtually, and then I can report back on that as well. And yeah, so my main focus, and like I do want to make a plan to support getting those air conditioning into the schools, so and with the timing and stuff, it won't be happening until next summer, I'm hoping, right? So we did talk about that at our DIHE meeting yesterday as well, so it is a priority. And also too, I'm hoping that there is discussion about getting a language and culture program within Mohawk Council, so that was really something that I've always felt there should be more Mohawk in the workplace as well. So I'm hoping that moves forward, and I would support it as well. And there's more details in my report as well, so and it's available to you. So, and if you want to call me or sit down and chat, I'm available for that as well. Now.
Young Council, we are at 7:49. Vanessa's online? Okay, we'll give her, okay, let her know it's 7:49 and she has the floor.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, I can't tell. Yes, okay, thank you. So today I am in Toronto at the 1965 IWA Advisory Committee, attending the CCOSSCU, so Chiefs Committee on Social, meeting. So this meeting is focused on reforming the 1965 Indian Welfare Agreement to address discrimination found by the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. Key points of today's meeting was the establishment of a reform advisory committee, development of a work plan, the complexities of the 1965 agreement. So our goal of ending discrimination and improving First Nations jurisdiction over social services as a member of the Chiefs Committee on Social. So my work energies for the past few years have included the Chiefs Committee on Social. And by now you have seen FNCFS everywhere. So FNCFS stands for First Nations Child and Family Services Reform. I have been on the committee since 2019 with previous Chiefs Thompson and Grand Chief Benedict. So since 2019, I've been on here and have continued my work and dedicated my time to ensure Akwesasne has a voice and needs are being heard and addressed. I continue this work on the 1965 and then on the George's Principle Reform to benefit Akwesasne. Benefits to Akwesasne include providing our input and our recommendations to ensure that the changes positively affect our large community, as well as providing insight and experience being not part of the 1965 agreement, benefiting First Nations across Ontario. So that's one of the things I'm working on right now, and the rest of it will all be in my report. My apologies for taking up too much time. Thank you.
Okay, Young Council for that, we're at 7:51. So in 4 minutes, I'm gonna start off with Sandy Lake. So Sandy Lake evacuees did go home, they didn't go home, they were moved to Barrie, Ontario. So after that, then they are looking at hopefully returning soon. I'm in contact with the counselor, his name is Alan Ray. And I just wanted to give a little bit of update on that because I did know that there was things being said on social media. And I want to let you know that this emergency evacuation occurred in the middle of the night. The facility was not prepared to handle that. However, they did accept the evacuees. They did their best to try and, have a nice reception. It was in the middle of the night. As those things went on, yes, there was issues with processing. There was issues, having enough staffing. I'm gonna say, a great job to the Akwesasne Emergency Response Center. What they did was they had trained some of the Sandy Lake residents to become housekeepers by the Deaf Corps Center themselves. So they were able to then hire, and we paid them, to go ahead and help clean the rooms. Because again, they were short-staffed. So, the command center also set up a lot of different, activities for them, status cards, like a lot of different trips. They purchased, yes, they did run out of supplies, looking at toilet paper, such like that. So Council, MCA, our center, we did purchase those things to help contribute to that. So some of those things that were said and mentioned on Facebook were true, but it's just that those things happened in the beginning, and as they were rectified, that was not a common experience of all 100% of those who have participated. I do have a close connection with Chief Alan Ray. I have his personal number now. We met regularly. I would take him out of the center and talk to him privately. They did set up, and I have to tell you this, they did ask for their own privacy, but they did set up their own security teams within them, and some of those decisions made not to have alcohol was their decision. Some of these things that there happen, you have to realize this is not Akwesasne's emergency. This is Sandy Lake's emergency. They were driving the bus on a lot of these decisions. I sat there and I assisted them. And whatever that they needed, we did come through. However, out of respect for Sandy Lake, the mayor and I decided not to do anything, any press releases out of his request. He does not want their dirty laundry aired on APTN, CBS, all of those networks, right? So we respected that, and we did that. However, now that these accusations got out there and really painted things in a negative light, yeah, I mean, some of these bumps happen, but if any of you has worked in emergency preparedness and crisis management, not everything can be handled. I mean, it's not a center to actually, do that. So again, you have to look at things from different sides. And yes, there are a lot of learning experiences, but I think, I do commend Red Cross, I do commend the City of Cornwall, I do commend Akwesasne Emergency Response Team and Dev Center for the coordinated efforts to come together to help them. You know, I was talking regularly with Chief Allen, and yes, they are up there. I asked how they were doing, and they're fine, and he does send his appreciation to Akwesasne for everything that was done. They really do appreciate it. We did a lot to make sure that their time, you know, we helped them get back through their time and make them feel more at home. And they felt that. They felt that with the culture, the knowledge, the teachings we shared with them, the clothes, the donations. Good job, Akwesasne. You really stepped up, and I am proud of you. And to that, I commend everyone for those efforts. Again, you know, going forward, we're going to have reports done, compiled by everyone. It's going to come to council's table, and we're going to do an official press release for all of you. Again, so please, you know, when you're saying things on Facebook, please consider you may be harming Sandy Lake residents, and they may not like that. So out of respect, I ask you for that patience. It is 7:55. Now, according to the rules, and what I said at the beginning of the meeting is if we're going to continue, it's up to you. So if you'd like to continue this meeting and for another half hour till 8:30, then I would like to ask you, the community in this room, you know, if you'd like to continue. If you do like to continue, please raise your hand now. Okay, according to me, it looks like the majority says that we're going to continue. Council, what say you? Does it look like we're continuing? Yes. Okay, so therefore we shall continue. With that being said, you just want to know what GC is doing. GC has a meeting, and council is going to attend as well. We're looking at talking with Cernak, the Deputy Minister, and the Deputy Minister of Transport Canada tomorrow regarding the toll booth increases. We have a lot of people coming to the table on that, and we are dealing with that. This is a part of the work that we're looking at on the CBA that goes off of what Chief Vince was talking about. Now, looking at director interviews, executive director interviews, that's in process. Acting government support manager needs to be posted. I'm sitting in director of health interviews, sitting in director of social interviews, the chief of police interviews. I'll be a part of that as well. When we're looking at the PAC team, I'm forwarding all requests and offers for land. I'm sending it to the PAC team, and I'm going to do this too to make this fair. If you have property you are looking at leasing and or selling, can you please contact us? I think we should have a community call out to the whole community to say, you know, let's see who's interested in this land, or selling their lands or leasing their lands, and then we can go from there. I don't want to have this said, well, council's setting up special deals with people and stuff like that. No, we need to be fair. So if you are interested in that or know someone who is, please have them contact us. Some kind of communication will come in the future as well. Moving on from Pat, we have Cornwall Shore. There's 8 parcels of land. I would like to do a focus meeting with you. Do you guys want to purchase that property? All along the shore of Cornwall, all the way from OPG, not including CBSA. It kind of skips over that, but it continues. Do you guys want to buy that land? We have money. We need to talk. Now, looking at the border, we have green card issues we're discussing. We are looking at the Dundee remission order, the pre-clearance like he talked about. We're also to a really big one I think you guys should be paying attention to is Bill C2. Please write that down. Bill C5 is gone and done. There's nothing we can do about it. The whole intention was they were rushing it to make sure it passed. Yes, we're not happy about it, but you know, if anything now, we have strategies on how to proceed in any matters related to Bill C5. Now, I'd like you to start researching Bill C2. We need to hear from you. This is a border bill. Please read it. Please come on and ask these questions. This is one we need to hear. We need to get ready for. Now, looking at self-government agreements, again, great stuff. Quebec Protocol, we got that going, good stuff. The CBA claim, that's another big one. Be ready for that too. We're renegotiating. That has to come back to the people. And I want to hear not only what the new game plan is, but why did you not approve it? Why did you not support that negotiation of the settlement agreement that happened in the past? It's on the table. We're getting the ball rolling with it, and we're going to start a settlement process and the litigation at the same time. But we need to hear from you, your thoughts on why. So please, let that be known. Ohiarihkó, we did do the memorandum of understanding with our trade alliance, and I also did, and then we bring this to council's table. I talked with the regional chief of New Brunswick, Joanna Bernard, and she's the portfolio holder as a part of AFN, and she holds the economic development portfolio. I had a good conversation with her, and what she is looking for, she needs someone to do a resolution to give her the mandate to start working on these trade lines, to support our trade lines, because she does agree with us that we have the right to determine and establish our trade rights, protect our trade rights. We say what we trade, we say what we produce, we say if there's fees or not, and that should be respected by us. Now, and again, we traded before Canada was here and the United States was here, and we're going to continue to trade. Now, looking at that, I wanted to do a resolution to take to AFN on September 4th, and I do have a second, Chief Cody Daibo from Gawanoge, Grand Chief. Now, that stuff we're gonna be discussing with full council, with portfolio. Or Gawanoge, what did I say? Gawanoge, sorry. I'm rushing, and I still feel like I'm trying to get the 8 o'clock minute mark here, so, yeah, so we have a lot of things working that's coming in progress. So again, my position and my role is at the top level, the federal levels, right? And it's making those connections and things happen. So again, you know, going out for the work that's being done here, you know, things are coming along. There's a lot, there's so many things that are moving. However, the federal government will be going into their summer break, so things are gonna slow down there. You know, but that doesn't mean that council is gonna stop working. No, we are going to stop. We're gonna continue to work, and, you know, keep hammering these things out. Now, looking at that I think is enough for me. Now let's look at, we need housing for community members who have nowhere to go after being incarcerated. Young adults are living with parents with addictions. Portfolio, does someone want to speak to that?
Trying to work on something on that, trying to get them homes.
Yeah, into the mic, please.
That's being worked on. It's kind of hard because everybody's got a big long list, and we're trying to accommodate as we can.
Oh, okay. Okay, any other comments from portfolio? Well, I will add to that question, and one of those 8 parcels of land, I believe it's section 7, I believe, goes up to OPG, and that land has been approved, or they're looking at it being approved for residential use. So again, this is something we want to come back and bring to you. Do you want to buy that land? We can build houses on that land. We can have it on that side of the shore, which would then give access to emergency services, right? There's a lot of things we can do with that. But again, those are things we're going to bring to you, the community, to decide. Yes.
I don't have a question, but one of the parcels of land that Grand Chief's talking about that runs along the southern shoreline of Cornwall where the bike trail is, one of those properties actually has an apartment complex on there that would be part of the land sale. So that's another option for housing, whether it be for the returning home, whether it be for youth, whether it be for elders. There's a lot of potential with purchasing this property now.
Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, looking at, oh, I do see a hand. Yes, question from the floor.
You purchased the property in Cornwall.
Are you gonna try to make an addendum to Reserve 159? And what will you do when you put people there for homes or to build homes and there's a whole tax issue because it's not reserved land? So how do you address that?
Well, again, that's going to come back to a focus meeting. You, the community, will start discussing that. We're going to have specific topics about that. Now it's all strategy. Go ahead.
So currently, can you hear me? Currently, when any land is purchased, it goes to the ATR process, and when it sits in the ATR process, we are currently responsible for the taxes until it does become community or returned land. Thank you.
Yeah, any other comments on that? No? Is there, oh, we do see a hand? Okay, just gonna read this next one. Yes?
Yeah, yes, one thing that I would check into with OPG is their emergency preparedness plan. That if there was anything to ever happen to that dam, like a dam burst or something by bombing from Iran or something, I would check into that because there are flooding zones in Cornwall that I know about. So check into that before you look into purchasing anything.
So with that, as part of the Akwesasne Joint Emergency Operations Plans,
Akwesasne does work with OPG on any updates to the infrastructure, to the planning, to the emergency plans for those types of things because of the natural disasters as well that could occur around here, including earthquakes. We've had one in 54. We don't know if we'll have another big one or something similar to that and how it will impact. And with the plans, they are private, but emergency management does do their best to tell the community what it is, how it works, because there's various stages of it, like you said. There's an immediate impact to the dam. Where's the flood zones, how fast it'll be flooded, and those types of things that a lot of people think about, especially what's going on in the world today. So don't get too scared. It's not going to be very disastrous for us. Yeah, we'll experience some flooding in the initial if there is a catastrophic breach, but it's like there's phases to it, and it's been looked at. There's plans for it.
I'm just going to go off of what Chief Scott said. I'm currently participated in the dam preparedness. There's going to be a full-scale exercise, and so I'm part of the team to go and sit in the control room and help look at the maps and see how it's going to impact Akwesasne. So this full-scale exercise is going to be in September. So it's going to be a really good initiative to see how much flooding is going to impact us.
Any other comments, Council? Okay, so business from the floor. Do we have, yes, Travis, I seen your hand up first.
Hello, I'm Travis Seymour. I sit on the Finance Committee, and I just wanted to ask more people to apply to be on the Finance Committee. This ties in with our FAIL. We need more community people on that. I'm the only one on there. And earlier we talked about the changes to the election law, and there's so many rules that are followed. If you take a look at the FAIL, there's so many areas that we're not following. And I really need more support from the community, more people to come forward and sit on that committee. If you look at the FAIL, when we have a meeting for a finance committee, it's supposed to be posted, and it's open to the community. And there's actually a period of time where the community can ask questions directly to the finance committee. So that's not happening. The reporting that we get from our director of finance is not adequate. It's not meeting the minimum requirements of the FAIL. And I've been sitting on it for a year and getting a little frustrated that we're not making the progress that I thought we would be. So it's a call out. Hopefully more people will put their names forward. We had one person do it this last call up, but we need more people. That's it. Thank you.
Portfolio, you would like to comment?
Yeah, well, for the announcement. We keep posting it, so if anybody's interested in applying, it's on our Facebook on a continuous loop as well as Akwesasne.ca.
Any other comments from the Finance Committee? No? Okay. Question from the floor.
Okay, so everyone, y'all for your time. I am speaking as a community member, and the concern that I have, it's not an administrative issue because it's coming from a community member. With AMPS, lately I've been hearing a lot in the community about different officers leaving AMPS, the squads being short-staffed, officers having to work extra shifts to cover for those that aren't able to come into work. I'm not hearing this from family members that are on AMPS. I'm hearing this in the community. I'm hearing this at work. And what is sad is it's out there why some of these AMPS officers are on leave. And I do not think that's right. People on the commission, maybe they need to have their oath of office looked at a bit more because there's some loose lips coming from there. And it really infuriated me when I had heard why some officers were on leave. That's none of my business. That's for AMPS to deal with. For their privacy of those officers, whatever reason it is, whether it's health, whatever, let them work at that themselves. I don't need to know it. The Akwesasne doesn't need to know it. It's bad enough that people like calling down AMPS for any chance that they can get. They're there to protect us. Okay? So I just want council, Grand Chief, everybody, those who sit on public safety, those that sit on the executive committee, because Grand Chief had just mentioned about interviews for chief of police. There's a reason why some of those officers are talking about leaving. Look into that, please. Because I want our roads patrolled, our community patrolled by those officers in there. And I tip my hat off to them. I come from a family of law enforcement, and I respect those people that are in there, whether they're family or not. So they deserve the respect, they deserve the privacy, and they deserve the support, whether it's from the community or from council. Yeah.
Any response, council?
Thank you for that. I too am, I have a policeman in my family as well.
Can you speak up for yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I agree that if something, if there's a concern, then we can give this to the ED to see what can be done. And also, not sure what the issues are, but I'm sure it may be known in the administrative office. Thank you for that.
Oh my God. For sharing. I will add this to the next agenda list for our public safety meeting.
Okay. Oh, and there is a call out for AMPS. Commission. Oh yeah, okay, that's it. So there is a call out for AMPS Commission too. So again, they need some help there, and this is where the community's got that chance to have a voice. So we do encourage you to apply. Okay, next question. Go ahead, Evie.
I just wanted to have a quick response to that. I appreciate those concerns, I understand those concerns. I just want to point out to everybody that if you hear something about someone being on leave, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the truth. There are a lot of rumors floating around, a lot of false information.
But when it's coming from a police commission member, that's what my concern is. Talking about why some of these officers are on leave. They should know better than if they take that oath of confidentiality.
Okay, next question. You're next, Brenda.
I have a message here from the elders of Akwesasne. Sebo kiso dili mundo tamo. Chiko. Eko kona. Opada na halo lo be no box ko mo. Wa ko di wa ka ayo na ho de ka ni ko ka. Chiko so te kiso dili mundo. Ya pa ko ina wa. Ya ska ni ko na te ko. Wa pa cha tum sermoni ya ko na sa ko ya pa ko. Chiko te mo na ka so wa ni wa ye na. One ke ko na ho te ke na sa ko na ho to. Minchia no, se dicono, sto a we, the elders, for knowledge keepers, are teachers, historians, negotiators, language speakers, cultural carriers, and we carry a lifetime of experience. We all reside within your districts. We strongly believe that an elders knowledge keepers council is needed to oversee and participate
in all meetings of the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne until civility is restored. It has been brought to our attention by many community members from all districts that there is disharmony and disrespect being shown by some district chiefs towards each other and towards the Grand Chief. It has been reported to us that the new Grand Chief has been targeted by some of you. If there are issues with the Grand Chief or he is not doing his job, bring that to the elders or to the community's attention. He is new in his position and trying to accomplish things, but the roadblocks created by this council have become insurmountable. This is being carried out by dysfunctional behavior through negative comments, verbal attacks, gossip, and threats towards each other or towards the Grand Chief. The atmosphere is toxic and abusive and appears as lateral violence. It goes against our values and principles as Ohiarihkó people. People that are in leadership positions should not behave this way. The divisiveness has created a poisoned work environment and it cannot be tolerated. This hostile, threatening behavior is unacceptable and violates the oath of office that you recited during your swearing-in ceremony. You made this declaration on an eagle feather or on the Bible, and it's a commitment. Mohawk Council of Akwesasne is bound by the Akwesasne election law, the ethical conduct law for Mohawk Council of Akwesasne, the political service agreement. These three legal documents are extremely important and are paramount to creating a well-functioning Mohawk Council of Akwesasne and government. The Grand Chief was voted into office by the community members from the three separate districts, and the chiefs were voted in by your districts. You are all very fortunate to get voted in as representatives of Mohawk Council of Akwesasne. There are expectations by the community that you will carry out your jobs in a responsible manner. The Grand Chief is your leader and at times may give you direction. You may resent it, but he is new, but he has excellent educational and other skills that help them get elected. You all have accountability to the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne community. Some of you made promises to your districts before your election. Are you living up to your promises? The elders expect you all to act as mature, healthy adults who respect and support one another. We need you to work together or nothing will be accomplished. We highly recommend code of conduct and healthy workplace environment training be provided to the Mohawk Council of Akwesasne so that all of you understand what you signed up for to be leaders in your community.
If we elders or the community have something to investigate regarding the behavior and actions of the Grand Chief or Chiefs, please come forward with honor and present the evidence to all of us, and we will properly investigate and handle. Unless the Grand Chief is violating laws and you have legitimate proof of this, you have no reason to be acting determinedly to the unity of our community. There are election regulations, and for a good reason. Only the community can put the Grand Chief or Chiefs out of office. The Mohawk Council of Akwesasne has no authority to remove each other from office. You cannot remove a Grand Chief or Chief through a vote of non-confidence. We expect this unhealthy behavior to stop, and we expect accountability from all of you going forward. If the behavior continues, we will use the necessary tools available to us to remove the instigators from their possessions. elders, knowledge keepers from Kawanoke, Onerahtohkó, and Gisnain. Yahweh.
We, the elders, will meet with you if you just want to meet one by one or as a group. We are ready to come forward and meet with you.
Anytime.
Council?
Thank you for that. I'm not sure where the disrespect is coming from, but I do know that, I'm gonna ask our council, have I been disrespectful to any of you in any way?
Don't lie.
I think everyone should ask the same, because we're
From
here
my
to help you
experience-
answer that question.
From my experience, we've been working well together, we've been getting projects done, we've been highlighting new projects and getting things going, working on old things, everything, we're gelling as a team. So, that's what I put it down.
Okay, this is a multi-user all working well together, but it's the community that is seeing what is going on. You guys may be all working good together, but it's the community that is seeing and hearing what is going on. Nobody's gonna speak up right now, because everybody is gonna be quiet. But it's gonna be talk, 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 after everybody leaves here.
Dok ni lo akilo wa kili wayena no to skoli wa ehas. Dok ni na aki. Ukatunde. Ta ko ta ho sata. Ani. Ko wa ko ta.
I do like the idea of meeting with the elders, whoever wants to meet with council, whether it's one-on-one, but we can work out those details. And I did meet with Bernice a few weeks back, it was on a Saturday, and I did report back to council that we were gonna come forward with this.
Just for the record, we swore an oath that we don't go out there and air whatever other chiefs are doing or how you feel, or if you feel they're doing something to you. We all swore an oath, and that's exactly what we have to stick to while we're on council. So if I feel bad about another chief, I'm not gonna run out and tell you elders that, okay, I think this is what they're doing to me. No, I can't do that. That's unethical. We're here to serve, we're supposed to respect each other, and if we see something wrong, we have to call it out, but if this person can't, I don't know who's out there saying things that can't believe that we're all working together, then I really don't know what's going on.
Where do you think we got that information in that letter?
I really don't know.
Okay, it's in the community. It's in the community, everything that is going on. And the biggest thing is, there's a clique in this council. Now, should there be a clique? There was one even before this grand chief was here. There's always been a clique. So please straighten up. You guys, whether or not you're here for the people or whether you're here for the money. Because I know there's a lot of money out there. And I don't think that's the proper way to be a chief, is to be the money. You need to support your communities. You need to look into things. You need to be seeing different places and not hear gossip. Not us in the community hear gossip. Please, we're not we are just repeating what we have heard in this community, and enough is enough. And if you guys can't handle that, time to go.
Thankful for that. I just want to let you know that I did ask in our last meeting, and I said, can we cut down on these meetings to be out there? Because any one of us can show you our calendar, and we're talking 3-4 meetings a day, night meetings. We are so meetinged out that I've asked, and I said it, and we said at the last meeting, we said, we need to cut down on all these other meetings so we can be out there. We are trying. I just want to let you know, we are, and we want to meet with you. We will.
As many meetings as you have, that's how much you get paid for. So don't worry.
Then we're underpaid. Just kidding.
Okay, it's 8:25. Do you just want to continue? We can do another half-hour session. If you want to continue this until 9 o'clock, please raise your hand.
Take the other vote.
How
many don't? How many don't?
No? Okay. It's 8:25. I'm going to tell you this. Elders, if you're serious about this, a couple weeks ago we had a council meeting. I wanted to do a public presentation for the community, information session on what I've been doing. At that table, I turned around and asked council what their thoughts were on this. They turned around and it was all negative. One after another did not allow me to talk to you. That when I got to this one individual, I was told that if I talk with you, they're going to start motions against me. I'm not allowed to talk with you. I'm not allowed to have information sessions. If I do, they're going to hold motions on me. That direct threat is extortion. I contacted legal. I am now under protection mode. That means I now have to go and watch everything I do. I am now virtually attending all meetings because I cannot trust this council. There's gossiping. Yes, it's true. All these things you're hearing is true. Now, to all of that, are you going to deny that you threatened me with doing motions if I have an information session? Chief Rada.
I think you can agree with me. I did not threaten you or speak about you having.
Was that told to me though? Was that told to me if I do that?
I did not have any ill sayings about your request.
Yeah, you didn't. But was I not told if I hold this information, they're going to do motions on me? They will start. Was that not? I'm not saying you said it, but was that said?
Can I just clarify? What Grand Chief said was he was going to be holding a meeting on Saturday night to meet with the community members. And he said to council, you can go, but you will not be a chief in this meeting. You will be community members. Council took offense. I think, I don't know if all council did, but I think I did because I can't take my hat off for the next, 2 years? But council did agree that Grand Chief can't go out there and meet because he had 4 different reasons at the time. He said, I'm going to do this. I can't recall what the reasons were. Does anybody have the notes from that?
There is video footage of this too. And you can see it's at the end of the meeting if you guys want to access that through ATIP. But council can do a resolution to make that public to you. So if you just want to see that, you can approach council on that. I'm not lying to you.
Hello, I've had my right hand raised for a while.
With that being said too, I'm going to be taking a break as of Saturday. I'm going to be leaving the community. I gave proxy to Chief Scott. I can't do this anymore. I mean, I'm doing the best I can to make it look like we're working, and we are working, but there's direct threats. And here's the thing that now I'm going to be a target tomorrow morning. Now what happened is, I'm going to give an instance. They make up stuff, they instigate. Yes, that is true. In May, Bob Dwyer, Port Director Authority, retired. I gave him a lacrosse stick with the government chain on it. I said, go play, Bob. And I was told that, Grand Chief, do a little check. I did that. Well, then at that next council meeting, they said, oh, we know what you did we got the video on it. I'm like, wow, it was a playful thing. Oh, we know. And then the other district chief looked at me and they both smiled and looked at me. We got the evidence. And then after that, that district chief went to various meetings and was trying to badmouth me and make me look bad in front of the others. That is what I deal with. You want the truth? That's the truth. That's what I have to work with. But I still stand here and smile. I'm trying to let you believe that we are still working together, that everything is great, but it is not. Now to that, I'm not lying. You want proof on it? A tip it.
The community needs to know. Don't ever say no to the community. You don't do that. The community runs you guys.
Oh, that was the other thing. If you look at the video, they said that they are the authority, not me.
No,
so I can't do that. During that meeting, the news requested that video, and they told me I cannot talk with you, and they said they will remind me, they will do motions if I do it, and that they are the authority. That's on video, it's recorded. You need to make sure that communications do not delete or edit that video in any way. That is a directive.
I just want to speak on behalf of this. I'm sitting here, and I'm the longest sitting chief remaining. You know, and I work with everybody. Our chief here is new. I gave him that respect. I gave him that open mind. And we sat down and we talked about various files that he needed to be up upon. But today, I'm witnessing the elders of this community speak out. Because it's very concerning what you guys stated, and you spoke in the language that should have been heard well by everyone on how you guys feel and the impression that this council's given to the community. Okay. When that letter was read, after I said my words, I acknowledge and I accept what you stated to this council, and we will fix it. Now, all I'm hearing is everything, finger pointing, and everything that's going on. Yeah, Kana, the one that told it, you know the one, she. They can eat, get good there, we'll get out home. So what the home, son? The whole the one home. Then the what the took me. The water did the answer. Then he gave up to know who got how oil darkness had. Honey, do you know that the water? He go now the was falling away. Then the water. Then he got money go get with it. Now, Kiata Kera, she got go la deep. Then what killing Hawaiian? The no Gade no, she knew query, no what up. That tell the answer. To the Guinea, this Papa Plaga. Because Gade no, Paka wish. She no longer go, but again, no. Eco relocation of the Port of Ontario. It's being worked on by the Grand Chief and the Working Task Group of Chiefs. Okay. Portfolio development for grant funding that will help our housing needs in our community. For granting funding from the IST is being worked on by DIHE portfolio and chiefs. Seaway claim that Grand Chief mentioned is also being worked on by our portfolio chiefs and the Grand Chief. Dundee Working Task Group table is also being worked on by Grand Chief and Working Task Group chiefs. Canada Lands, which I forgot to mention, is an opportunity to show our solid footprint on the North Shore, is also being worked on Grand Chief and all counts. MOU agreements with the Iroquois Caucus to establish an economic development engine that would benefit our brother and sister communities throughout the Mohawk territories is being worked on by Grand Chief, Iroquois Caucus community chiefs, and all Iroquois Caucus
Mohawk Community Grand Chiefs. We also have an MOU that was signed with the Blackfoot Nation from the Alberta Confederation. That needs to be worked on. We have a robust conservation department that's trying to establish themselves so that we show our presence in our waters and protect our lands and our resources. That is being worked on by Grand Chief Arrow and Environmental Portfolio Chiefs. We have nation building. That is going to be the way we cover it for future years, for the next generations. Presentation was had by the survey. It was well received, a lot of participants. It still needs to be worked on, but there's big ticket items in there that needs to be negotiated before we can sell this to the community and get community buy-in. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And yet, we sit here and we bicker. Community's yelling at us. We need support. We need support so that way we can move in a positive direction and take on these words and listen to these words these elders proposed to us today so we can make a difference in Akwesasne. Tukini.
And with that, because I can't say it in the language, can you tell them which district chief threatened me and said that if I hold this information session, that motions will be placed against me? Can you say that to them, please?
Sometimes things are talked about in confidentiality in our offices, in our boardrooms. Now, if we announce who said that, that doesn't do nothing for this council moving forward. I thought we came here today, we're listening to the words of the elders to bury the damn hatchet and move forward. Naming people is not going to resolve anything. It is not. Honestly, you guys can go to Facebook. You guys can write your petitions. You're not doing a justice for this community. This council hasn't even gotten a chance. And I, for one, had to make 4 term adjustments with open arms, open-minded to accept each and every chief that was elected by you. And if I do something against them, I'm disrespecting you because that was your voice that you put off at the election time. So me, I respect that. I can't touch the Grand Chief, but we gotta work together. And he's gotta understand how we should be working together. And that's something a work in progress needs to happen. We all gotta hit that common ground to move these things forward.
So to wrap this up, I'm gonna ask you, the community, if they do motions to remove me as chair, if they do motions to remove me, I can't travel, if they do motions to remove my credit card, if they do motions so I can't have meetings, do you want to know?
Yes.
Well, council, you heard it.
Yes.
So who's the authority? Is it council or is it you?
Community.
Exactly. You put
Community.
Exactly. If you have a problem with me, you put me in here, you take me out. Not council. Well, that, I think if you ask for that video footage, you'll see what's going on the road.
Why don't you just start focusing on the big ticket items?
We are.
You guys are sit out there bickering about little stuff like this.
How can you when, what is
Each one of those members has a voice at that table. I said this back in February, and last time I had a chance to come to a meeting, was each one of those people were voted in. The Grand Chief, you're not ahead of them. I don't agree with what a person said earlier. You're not ahead of them. You're their spokesman. You're the spokesman for that group right there. Each one of them has a voice at the table.
They do. And their voices, they're gonna do motions
They show
on
some
me.
leadership and try to get your shit together.
How can I when they're doing motions
I
on
come
me?
to these meetings when I get a chance to, and the same bullshit going on since last time I was here. Everybody's too busy messing around on Facebook and all that bullshit. Why don't you just buckle down and lead?
That's what we're trying to do?
It's supposed to start with you. The way everybody's making it sound, it's supposed to start with you. I'll do something. Vince made it a good point. He made a good point.
What was it like when you were
I'm talking.
What was it like a year ago?
I'm talking.
Explain
Hey,
it to us.
hey, I understand that.
To adjourn. Okay, we're gonna, you just gotta make this. Remember, council, we had a meeting before this too. We said, if there's point of orders, yous need to speak up. Yous need to get involved in this. Quit throwing me under the bus. If you don't like where this is going, you say point of order and then we stop it. And if you wanna do a motion to adjourn, then someone second it and let's get the process going.
Can we please do a motion to
I'd
adjourn
like to
and do
say
a
one
closing, please?
thing before we close. Like, the elders care what happens in this community. We're here to help all of you. It was a hard decision, you know, to listen to all the crazy gossip and hear about the lateral violence that's going on. You know, we just want to ignore it and just pretend it's not there, but it's there. We know it. You know, and we're hearing it. We're not here to condemn any one of you. We didn't say all of you. We said some of you. Because we know, we heard. The chief is telling how he's hurt, what's been done to him, and how it's a struggle for him. So listen to that. If it was you, if you were the one that was targeted, you wouldn't feel good about it. You all took an oath, you know, to serve this community. And that's also respecting and caring for one another. We're not here to beat you up or to hurt you. We're here to help you. We're willing to meet with you. We're willing to guide you. We have a lifetime of experience, all these elders in here. They're all here because they care. They care about the community. We want to help you get through this tough patch that you're in. We don't want to kick you out. We want to help you. We want everybody in this community to get healthy. We've got a lot of stuff that in our past, this community, that's made us this way. Residential school, alcoholism, drug addiction, you name it. Indian day school. We're all in recovery, every one of us in this room. And those of us that have done the work to be healthy, we're here to help. So don't be angry. We're not trying to point fingers. We're trying to get everybody healthy so our community can be healthy. So don't take it in a bad way. Take it in a good way and think about how we can move forward together. You know, we're willing to sit down with you. We're willing to get outside help if needed to help get through this rough patch. We just want you to know we heard. We requested the Grand Chief to come meet with us. Wow. He didn't come to us. He didn't want to come to us. We made him. And we said to him, you have to tell us truthfully what's going on with you. We're hearing all this gossip out in the community. We don't want gossip, we want facts. So this is where we are now. Let's work together and move forward to make it a better council. You guys get healthier together, you'll do great. All those things that you talked about, we want to see it all happen for this community. We know you all care, or you wouldn't have run for council. So let's just leave on a positive note that we're going to work together, and we're here to help you. Okay? Now go for listening.
You've got a motion? Got a motion to adjourn? Second? Sarah, please, Chief Bowman, second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Carried. Meeting adjourned.